Okay, gents, why Tom Ford dresses every man better than Tom Ford himself. This isn't a dedication per se to Tom Ford, but I love Tom Ford. I'm wearing Tom Ford sunnies, I love Tom Ford suits. Every man in their life should work towards buying themselves a Tom Ford suit, ideally on their wedding day or something like this. But why Tom Ford dresses every man better than Tom Ford himself? In a fashion industry that spent the last 20 years trying to convince men to dress like boys, one designer has spent his entire career doing the exact opposite, Tom Ford. And whether you love him, or whether you hate him, or have never thought about him, or you don't even know who he is, the truth is this: he has shaped how a serious man should dress in the modern era more than any other figure alive. This video is going to show you what he understood, why it works, and how to apply it without spending Tom Ford money. If you go look at what his suits cost, you'll understand what I mean by Tom Ford money. Dressing well is a form of good manners. Tom Ford has dressed the most powerful men in the world for over 30 years. Heads of state, James Bond is a big one, Hollywood. His suits, his silhouettes, his approach to fragrance, his stance on grooming have all become reference points for masculine aesthetics globally. But the deeper truth is he's the only major designer of the last generation who has built his entire empire on a simple thesis: men should look like men. Men should dress like men. Not like brands, not like teenagers, not like art projects, men. I'm gonna walk you through 10 points, 10 principles, why Tom Ford has championed in menswear, why each one matters, why they speak directly to a man in his 30s and 40s, and exactly how to apply them whether your budget is Tom Ford or not. By the end of this video, you'll understand the philosophy that has shaped modern masculine style, and you'll have the tools to apply it to yourself. People will stare, make it worth their while. So let's get into it. Here's the core thesis: men should look like men. Simple. Tom Ford has said it in countless interviews. He thinks men have been infantilized by the modern fashion industry. He doesn't dress men like boys. He doesn't dress them like art projects. He dresses them like men. Adult, deliberate, slightly dangerous, fully formed. This is the entire philosophy. Every cut, every fabric, every campaign image is built around this one idea. The Tom Ford man is not a boy in expensive clothing. He is a man who has decided to look like a man. The cut is masculine. The silhouette is structured. The palette is grown up. Nothing about it is youthful for the sake of youth. And that's the reason that his work resonates so deeply with men in their 30s and 40s. He's the only designer at the luxury level still aiming his vision at you. Not the 19-year-old TikToker model, you, the man who has lived, the man who wants to dress as one. So the suit as the modern man's uniform. Ford has championed the suit harder than any other modern designer. While the rest of the industry has spent the last decade trying to convince men that streetwear, hoodies, and oversized everything is the future, he has built his entire menswear line around the suit. Cut beautifully, worn with confidence, adapted for the modern man without being diluted. I mean, his silhouette is unmistakable. High gorge lapel, a defined waist, a clean, strong shoulder, a trouser that breaks once on a polished shoe. It's not Italian softness and it's not English stiffness. It's a third position, modern, masculine, deliberately sharp. And the lesson for a man in your bracket, and I'm talking your age bracket, is this: the suit is not dead. It has only become more powerful because everyone else has abandoned it. Wearing a well-cut suit in a world of joggers and hoodies isn't conformity, it's distinction. The Tom Ford man understands that better than anyone. One of the core things that I love about Tom Ford is sex appeal as a legitimate goal. Here's where Tom Ford diverges from almost every other menswear designer. He believes a man should dress to be desired, full stop. He doesn't hide from it. He doesn't dress it up in a philosophical language. He says it directly. A man's clothes should make him feel sexually confident, and they should make him visually compelling to the people around him. I've said this multiple times. Your outfits, your style, when you're dressing as a man, the man that you should turn heads as soon as you walk into the room, both men and women. This is something that the modern industry has completely lost. Men's fashion has been desexualized, sanitized, neutralized. It's all neutral palettes, oversized fits, and androgynous styling. Ford rejects all of that. His clothes are unashamedly built to enhance the male body and the male presence. Permission moment, gents. You're allowed to dress to look attractive. You're allowed to dress to feel powerful in your own body. That's not vanity. That's not shallow. That is one of the legitimate reasons a man cares about how he dresses. Ford has never apologized for it, and neither should you. So think about this. When you're a man, Ford's signature palette is dark, black, charcoal, midnight blue, deep burgundy, oxblood, the occasional gray, or chocolate. White is only used as a contrast at the shirt and at the pocket. The palette is built around depth, drama, and seriousness. There's a reason that dark colors read as power. They absorb attention rather than chase it. They flatter almost every skin tone and almost every body type, and they project the kind of seriousness that says, this is a man, not a boy, in a costume. The Italian palette is warm, the Tom Ford palette is dramatic. Both work, but the Tom Ford approach is one that lands in a corporate, professional, or high-stakes social context. It covers all three. And for a man who's in his 30s and 40s, building a wardrobe with intention, anchoring it in the Tom Ford palette, black, midnight blue, charcoal, and oxblood is one of the cleanest ways to project authority without spending time figuring out color theory from scratch. Principle 5, fragrance as a non-negotiable layer. Tom Ford built one of the most successful luxury fragrance businesses in the world for a reason. He understood that how a man smells is part of how he is perceived. It's not a finishing touch, it's a fundamental layer of your presence. Most men in their 30s and 40s underinvest here. They wear the same body spray they wore at 24, or they skip fragrance entirely, treating it as optional or vain. Ford rejects both positions. A serious man wears fragrance the way he wears a watch, considered, significant, and personal. Now listen, you don't have to wear a Tom Ford fragrance, but you should be wearing something deliberate. A scent that says something about you. Wood, leather, smoke, spice, the kind of notes that read as masculine rather than juvenile. Permission to take fragrance as seriously as you take your wardrobe. It's the layer that completes the impression. One of the core theses that I talk about regularly through my videos, grooming as architecture, not as maintenance. The Tom Ford grooming standard is severe and it's intentional. The hair is always cut, always styled, often slicked back or sharply parted. The face is either clean shaven or carrying carefully maintained stubble that's been trimmed to a specific length. The skin is treated. The brows are managed. Nothing is left to chance. Ford treats grooming as architecture. It's not maintenance. It's structural. It's the frame around the face that makes the rest of the look land. Perfectly tailored Tom Ford suit on a man with a neglected grooming reads as wrong. It's like a luxury car with a cracked windscreen. Everything has to be at the same standard. Think about it. When your beard is tightly kept and shaped, how much better it makes your face look. Same with your haircut being sharp, eyebrows being sharp, etc. This is the layer that most men in our bracket, in our 30s and 40s, still treat as optional. You have permission to take it seriously. Get a barber you like and see him on a schedule. Once a week. It should be once a week. And for certain haircuts like my high skin fade, that's a twice a week haircut, okay? Otherwise you start looking scruffy. Build a skincare routine that takes 5 minutes a day. I've got a cleanser, I've got a toner, and I've got a moisturizer. It takes me 5 minutes to put it all on. Manage the parts of your face that most men ignore. Ford makes the case that grooming is half of the picture, and he's right. So, restraint with drama, the Tom Ford balance. Where the Italians champion sprezzatura, restraint with drama, the Tom Ford balance. Ford champions something different. Drama. Calculated, controlled, restrained drama. A Ford look isn't relaxed. It's tense, deliberate, slightly theatrical without ever tipping into costume. Now this balance is critical. He uses dark colors, sharp tailoring, polished shoes, and grooming that's almost severe. But he never adds. He never accessorizes beyond a watch. He never breaks the silhouette without a loud detail. The drama comes with the precision, not from excess. This is the move for a man who wants to project intensity without looking like he's trying. The Italian man looks at ease, the Ford man looks like he's calculating. Both work. The Ford approach lands particularly well in professional and high-stakes social environments where projecting weight matters. Think about James Bond. James Bond only wears Tom Ford suits. Think about how he projects himself every time, especially in high stakes environments. Okay, the body is part of the garment. Here's something Ford has directly said in interviews. A suit can only do so much. The man inside the suit is half of the impression. He believes a serious man should look after his body the way he looks after his wardrobe, not as obsession, as basic respect for the vehicle that he occupies. Now, this might be uncomfortable for some of you, man, to hear it, but it's true. A Ford suit looks the way it does because it's been cut for a body that's been maintained, that's in great shape. A man who carries weight he doesn't want to carry, who hasn't trained his body, who has neglected his physical self, is going to find that no garment can fully compensate. The clothes can elevate and maintain body, they cannot fix and abandon one. You need to get this right. You have permission to take your body seriously, not for vanity, because it's the foundation everything else sits on. A tailored suit on a body that you've worked on is the cleanest expression of self-respect that a man can put on display. So why does Tom Ford resonate with men in their 30s and 40s specifically? Tom Ford doesn't dress 22-year-olds. He doesn't make collections aimed at TikTok. He doesn't chase the streetwear pivot. His entire brand is aimed at the adult man with mean taste and the willingness to dress like a man man instead of a boy. This is the version of luxury fashion that's been largely abandoned. The industry has chased youth so hard for the last 20 years that the adult man has been left without a designer aiming at him at the highest level. Ford is the holdout, the exception, the one major figure still building for a grown man. And that's why his work feels completely different when you look at it. He's the only one still talking to you, to the guys who are in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s, okay, in their 60s, right? Ford represents permission to dress like the man you are in the market that has otherwise abandoned that man entirely. So how do you apply the Tom Ford philosophy without the Tom Ford budget? Okay, you don't need to spend Tom Ford money to apply Tom Ford principles. The philosophy itself is free. The execution can be done at any budget if you understand the priorities. Here's how to start. Build your wardrobe around a dark palette. It could be black, charcoal, midnight blue, oxblood. You need to find a tailor and have your existing suits adjusted to a Ford influenced silhouette, higher gorge, defined waist, clean shoulder, etc. You need to invest in one significant fragrance, whether it be a wood type fragrance or wood based fragrance, leather, spice notes, masculine and considered. Treat your grooming as structural, not optional. Take your body seriously as part of the garment. Edit out anything that competes with the man. That's the whole philosophy in practical terms. None of it requires luxury budgets. All of it requires the decision to take yourself seriously enough to apply. The 2 free guides below will help you get started. The most important piece is your color palette being one and your tailor relationship being the other. Start here. The rest is your decision. Tom Ford's your man. Follow him. Get some, boys.